Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular town council meeting for Tuesday, May 23rd. Please rise for a moment of silence. We'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Fishbein. Laffin.
Here.
Letourneau. Marone. Shortell.
Here.
Sullivan. Testa.
Here.
Zandri.
Here.
Chairman Cervoni.
Here. Councilor Marone advised me that he would be late as a result of a work obligation, and Councilor Sullivan advised me that he has a conflict as a result of a work obligation and will not be able to attend. On to item 3, the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve and accept consent agenda items A through L and BB through GG.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion on the consent agenda passes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve and accept the consent agenda items M through AA.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
With one nay, the motion carries. On to item 4. Mr. Laffin.
Mr. Chairman, if I could have a little exception made. I just wanted to note this item was not removed from the consent agenda, but I wanted to recognize not just your hard work in item number K for the consent agenda, which was the acceptance of donations for the fireworks display, but for the donors themselves, and to read those if there is no objection from the rest of the council. And that would be that Live Nation Oakdale donated $8,000, Yolbrick Specialty Metals $5,000, Choate Rosemary Hall $5,000, Caroline Greenspan and Marshall Rubin $5,000, United Concrete Products Incorporated $5,000, the Landomir Group $1,000, and Polylock Incorporated $1,000 as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Nothing further removed from the consent agenda. On to public question and answer period.
No,
Oh, I'm sorry.
don't we have the other items removed?
Which? BDD. Did you move BB and DD?
Yep. I moved A through BB through GG and M through AA separately.
All right, I thought the other items that I had asked to be removed were not part of that block.
Oh, what items were those? Sorry.
BB through DD.
Right, BB, CC, and DD. Those were supposed to be removed separately.
That was the second motion on the consent agenda.
BB through were included in the first motion, A
All right.
through L and BB through GG.
All right, so that was a misunderstanding on my part.
Okay.
My original request was that we break out the bid waivers, and then I had made a second request about the appointments to the public celebrations.
That is correct. I apologize.
Oh, I
Did
missed
you
that.
move the public celebrations appointments in your motion? We will correct
did.
that. I'm sorry?
I did move those.
Okay.
All right, that was a misunderstanding on, I thought both were separated, so.
All right. We need to withdraw the first motion on the consent agenda.
I withdraw that motion. Or I guess we need to
Yes,
reconsider.
because that just got removed, so.
Okay. If you could redo your first motion
Yep, minus
excluding
those.
those appointments.
I move we approve and accept consent agenda items A through L and EE through GG.
Moved, seconded by Councilor Letourneau. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. And back to item 4, items removed from the consent agenda. Councilor Zandri, I will take those items off this agenda, and because there are now, with the 5 additions, there are now 8. There are 8 requests for appointments with only 5 openings.
Correct.
We will have to address this at a subsequent meeting, potentially a special meeting.
All right, so we're not going to discuss them this evening then?
That's correct.
Okay, so as part of that effort, do we think we'll be doing it at the next upcoming meeting, or do you plan to go farther out? Only because I'd like to notify the celebrations committee to let them know that if they have members they want to bring forward, that they should be in attendance. We might want to publicly kind of notate the fact that there have always been, as of recent, a bunch of openings that haven't really been filled, and now they're starting to become filled very quickly. So that might make sense to kind of let the general public know that the open slots for the celebrations committee are being filled, and they really should, approach the committee and ask about what the membership would entail and the responsibilities and such, so that we could go back and forth from that point.
With this volume of recommended appointees being considered, it's not something we're going to do at a regular meeting. We're going to have a special meeting.
Okay, so there'll be notice
Consider all
for a
of the
special,
appointments.
there'll be a notice for a special meeting, and we'll have to make a regular, thing in the paper as to the special meeting. There's a special notice about a special meeting, right?
It'll be noticed as a
Special meeting, okay, that's good, because that's our normal procedure when we have a special meeting, and I think it's, makes sense considering the fact that we'd be stepping out to do that at a special meeting.
Mayor, you have a question?
Yes, I wasn't quite sure. We don't buy an ad in the newspaper for a special meeting. It's posted the same way as a regular meeting. It's a special meeting because it's not on the regular meeting schedule. So
Right, but it's public,
not-
there's a special public notice because it's a special meeting, though.
Right, but it's not necessarily, typically if you publicly notice something, you're buying an ad in the newspaper. This is a posting that there is a meeting, and it is picked up on the website, and the paper can write an article about it if they want, but it's not published.
Right, there's not an added effort. We would take our normal course of action for a special meeting. That's all I wanted to make sure I understood.
Anything else on that?
No, I just want to make sure because, I asked the members of the celebrations committee to come here in case there was anything we did need to address this evening. They are here if any of us had any questions, because it was a removed item, so I don't know if anybody else had any questions for them.
Councilor Testa?
Thank you. I guess I just needed a clarification. So if I understand correctly, the items 3BB, CC, and DD are not being acted on this evening.
That's correct.
Correct. And the other clarification is, you mentioned there are how many openings and how many people interested?
My understanding is that there are 5 openings, and I am aware thus far of 8 people interested.
Including the 3 that were being considered tonight?
That's correct.
And, okay. So these have just been names that have been forwarded to you by people or counselors or?
Counselors.
Okay.
And these 3 were in front of us, and then
Right.
Councilor Zandri sent me an email with 5.
Oh, okay. Okay, so there have been other names. I'm familiar with that. Okay. Well, if we're not taking them up, I'm okay for now. Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
whole process just had me a little confused and concerned. And I'm okay now. Thank you.
Yeah, what is
Yeah.
typical, if we have more appointees being considered than we have openings, is that we have a special meeting where we discuss and potentially interview
Right.
the candidates.
I was just, my concern was the fact that an individual counselor was just submitting requests for agenda items with names when none of us were involved in the overall process of considering names and not even aware that there might be openings that had to be filled. That seemed to be a step away from our normal procedure. So I'm sure we'll get back on track when we have a special meeting, so I thank you for that.
Certainly. Anyone else? Mayor?
Yeah, just a question, was 3GG,
Yes.
you did include that? Okay. Between the E's and the G's, I missed that.
And the double letters?
Well, the GG was an ad.
All right.
It was the ad. That was the ad.
If we are all caught up on all things that were on the consent agenda, we will move on to the public question and answer period.
We make all consent agenda items double letters from now on, just because it's fun.
We already did.
We already did.
You missed the other ones.
Mr. Gross?
3 letters, that would be incredible.
Bob Gross, Long Hill Road. I saw tonight on the consent agenda the fireworks, and I saw that you diligently reached out to the community for donations. I was just hoping that the mayor, next year's budget, if mayor's the mayor, or whoever the mayor is, would put it back into the budget. I and other people I've talked to just feel that there is some type of, nothing on your character or anything like that, but when you reach out and ask a business in town for money, and you're asking not for a raffle ticket or anything like that, you're asking for substantial sums of money to put on the fireworks display, they're always in the back of the mind is quid pro quo going on. And I'm not saying there is, but it's just the perception of what's going on. And so it would be nice if the mayor for the 30,000, and I'm not saying anything with you, it's just when you ask somebody for money, they always feel, well, hey, I gave X number of dollars to this. I need this. It's just I don't know. It's just hopefully the mayor, whoever the mayor is, whether it's Mayor Dickinson or whoever, would put it back in it's just such a minuscule amount of money for the town. Out of a $160 million budget, you're talking 30,000. It's just, I don't know. It just, when I read it, it was great for you that you did it. It's nice to put on the display for the
It's
town.
not for me.
I said, get the display on for the town and its citizens and the people that come and see it. It's just that the town should pay for it, not individuals like that with councilmen asking for the money, whether it's you or anybody else.
You aware that the Board of Education solicits funds from corporate donors?
They probably do. They probably do. They're a different entity than the town, though. But not that's a good thing either. It would be nice if the town could give the Board of Ed everything that they needed, but these are just things that, it's different when the counselor asks for it. That's all, whether it's you or anybody else, it's take you out of the equation. It's not you, it's just the perception of an elected official asking for money from private corporations to put on a display, and then, something, say X corporation's looking for something and they're before the council. It's just not a good idea. That's my opinion. And the other people I've talked to, it's just, if you really think about it, it's just not, it'd be better if the town just funded it. That's all. Thank you.
I just want to make it clear that I derive no personal benefit from the fundraising for the fireworks.
Not only do you not derive any benefit, you probably feel in an uncomfortable position calling people to ask for money. I'm not saying that. It's just a perception. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is that you, Mr. Morgenstein?
Good evening, Larry Morgenstein, South Main Street. Through the chair to the mayor, please.
Go ahead.
On the consent agenda tonight, there was a a grant application that's going through for the TOD. Could you speak to that a little bit as to the timing of that and what it's for? It's,
What number was that?
there's so many threes, I'm not sure which one that is.
L.
You're looking for a $175,000 grant for the TOD for Hall Avenue and the Route 5 area.
Yes, that is to have a feasibility study done with regard to making for better access, better efficiency, more attractive pedestrian use of the sidewalks to reach the new railroad station, as well as leaving the station and reaching the downtown.
I'm really in favor of it. I guess my question or concern is, given our state's budget situation, what are our chances at this point in time of even getting a grant for a study for such a thing?
Well, that's anyone's guess. They say that the money's available and they're receiving applications. We had a previous TOD grant that dealt with some overall planning that dovetailed with the Plan of Conservation and Development, the overall zoning. This one is to do an actual feasibility as to costs and preliminary designs. Whether the money is available ultimately, we all, I'm sure, have our own views about whether the money should even be available, given what's going on in Hartford, but we can make the application, and that's what we'd like to do.
Well, I think it's worth pursuing. I just wish that we had maybe been more proactive, since this has been an ongoing project for a number of years now with the train station, and that a lot of towns have moved forward a lot more proactively than us. And at this point, being a little more late to that, I hope that we could get it. Thank you.
I don't agree with your latter comments there. Mr. Gross?
Bob Gross, Long Hill Road. Question to the chair, to the mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, there was some discussion in paper and op-eds and whatever about how the money for the pension fund doesn't appear to always go what you're asking for every year. Is that in fact true?
That is not true. The money that is supposed to go for pension, that is the funds represented by the actuarial recommendation as applied to the workforce and that has been employed during that fiscal year, that money goes to the pension.
So if you're asking for $7.2 million, all $7.2 million gets moved to the pension fund?
No, I said the money that represents the amount by actuarial standard per employed employee by the end of the fiscal year would be paid to the pension fund. Now, the question has come up whether we should, if there is an overage, pay that, and that's fine with me. We certainly can have all of it, which would be in excess of what the actuary recommends, but it's fine with me that that can be appropriated into the pension fund. But the actuary is indicating at whatever the full employment would be, that is the level of pension contribution there should be. And we have made that an annual contribution as long as I've been mayor.
But based on everything I read or heard, you every year ask for X number of dollars, X, but put in Y. Y is always lower than X. Subsequently,
But to properly budget, you budget for 100% employment.
but every year you know it's not
But-
100%.
Are you going to let me talk, or
I'll
would
let
you
you
like
talk.
to answer
Yep.
for me?
No?
Okay, thank you. When we budget for 100% employment. If you do not budget for that, then it's guesswork as to whether you are covering your pension obligation or not. You would not know for that year if you had made the proper contribution, if you budget a lesser amount, assuming that instead of full employment, you'll have 92% employment. So the number that would appear in the budget would not necessarily cover what the budget it represents, which is 100% employment. You'll not know whether that was an appropriate amount until after the audit is done. So if anyone tried to true up later on whether there was a contribution in compliance with the ARC, the actuarial recommended contribution, you'd be a long time in determining that. You know, I think in terms of everyone knowing what's going on, it's appropriate to budget for 100% employment, which would mean that at 100% employment, whatever the percentage is per employee is part of the funding of the budget. That way, you know that you are covered for the total employment.
So what you're saying is from July 1st to June 30th, you have $7 million in the budget that's supposed to go into the pension, or what you're asking to go into the pension, and the council's approving it. You're not putting it in that time frame because you're just telling me now that you're waiting for the actuarials who don't come out till October, November, and then you're putting the money in? That's what you're saying.
That is absolutely not what I said.
You said you wait for the actuarial.
Categorically, that is exactly not what I said.
Then
I said we budget according to what we estimate as 100% employment. The money in the budget represents every position being filled.
Right.
Sometimes that is not achieved. As a result, all of that money is not needed for the actuarial recommended contribution. If we did not budget 100%, and for instance we did have 100% employment, we would not have enough money there. If we have less than full employment, then some amount of money is left over. But if we assume in the budgeting that we don't have 100% employment, and it's only 90%, only 85%, it's only a number developed maybe just to see that we don't have a tax increase, when will you ever know whether there was a proper contribution on the pension? You won't know until you get an audit and have all of that analyzed at some future time. I don't think that's good for telling the public what we're trying to accomplish. So we budget for 100% employment. That means that the number in the budget corresponds with the actuarial recommended contribution, assuming we have 100% employment.
Understand that. When do you make that payment to the pension commission?
I don't know when that's turned over. At least at the close of books, which would be sometime in July probably.
So you know in July that you've at that point know what your numbers are, but you're saying you waited till the audit came.
No, I'm not saying we wait at all. I'm saying if you don't budget according to 100% employment, you would have to really wait until after an audit is done to determine whether what was accomplished was indeed in compliance with the actuarial recommended contribution. Because anything else is your story about what money was spent where. You would have to wait for an audit. On the face of it, if you didn't budget for 100%, you would not have made the ARC.
Then wipe the slate clean. It's June 30th, you had put the money in July 1st of last year, $7 million. At that point in time, the money's supposed to be expended. You know, so you're saying at that point, because you haven't put all the money in all these previous years, according to what I've been reading or hearing. So you know at that point, you didn't put the whole money in. So where does that money go?
the money doesn't go anywhere. During the year, the contribution is made by employee. I'm assuming it's taken, the contribution from the employee is taken out of salary. I believe we would be making the contributions to the pension plan at the schedule or when the finance department handles that. Any money left over in a line item falls out, and ultimately the audit determines what was appropriately assigned to whatever costs, and the matter is then settled. But the real issue here is, if you don't budget for the actuarial recommended contribution at budget time, that's the employment that you're estimating is the numbers in the book for salaries, everything. If you are not meeting that with a pension payment also in the book budgeted, it will be a long time before anyone in the public can be assured that you are making the proper actuarially recommended contribution to the pension plan.
I've always fully believed you should fund the pension plan at the 100% numbers. That isn't the question here. The question is, you're putting a number in there year after year after year. Hundreds of thousands of dollars aren't going to that pension plan. We're 70-something% funded in the pension plan for the people that work here in the town. And you're taking that money, what it appears that you're doing with that money is putting it into reserves. And it's either should go back to the taxpayers or it should go towards the pension fund. That's the money you're doing with it. And it's just, in my opinion, not transparent what you're doing here.
What you're recommending is not really transparent. The money being budgeted is based upon 100% employment.
Not arguing that.
If the employment is not at 100%, money is left over there. So that money can be paid into the pension. But I have no problem with that.
And the only reason you're mentioning that now, because this has been going on for year after year after year, it appears, is because it's being brought up. And or that it's the council, I don't know which councilor brought it forward, that the money could have gone back towards paying down our taxes so the tax increase wouldn't be as great. It's the only reason it's come up. It's come up, this is going on for years. I mean, you're sighing, but is it not true?
The money does get used. It gets used every year in the $4.2 million that we fund the budget with out of reserves. That money needs to be there, or we'll be raising taxes for the $1 million taxes that we take from reserves every year. It doesn't get wasted. It isn't spent by anyone. It's there for our use. Now it may be needed in order to fund what the state won't be giving us.
What it's done over the years is it's inflated the reserves. You complain about when you go to the state with arbitration. The arbiters see that you have excess money sitting in reserves. It sees that you have the ability to pay because you're overtaxing the citizens, in my opinion, of Wallingford and others' opinions. And because of that, you lose some of this arbitration. Now, you complain about that, but some of it is you set yourself up for it.
Bob, take a look at the arbitrators' awards across the state. They do not follow the ability to pay of the municipalities. Every municipality is paying far more than they should in the arbitrator award, in my opinion, because it's got nothing to do with ability to pay. They look at settlements, they look at other arbitration awards, and they say, oh, well then that should be pretty much the same thing here. They don't look at the private sector. They don't compare what our benefits or wages are compared to the private sector. They compare only to other governmental units. So the whole system is distorted and needs to be fixed. But it's not based upon our having reserves. We have reserves because we're trying to manage the town's finances in a way that this town can continue to, every year, provide solid services, not have the ups and downs of layoffs, of closings, of libraries or whatever else because there's a sudden crisis. That's the benefit we get. Anyone can change that, but you're not going to be able to have the regularity of service and the continuity of service that I think we benefit.
I just hope that the council next year really looks at his budget, because I don't know how many years I've been coming up to the mic, and many of you councilors have been here even longer, well, some of you. And you don't change his budget. I would hope that you get involved in the planning stages of it, because it's not transparent. I mean, there's the mayor, in certain respects, you overinflate revenue, overestimate expenses, and revenue you underestimate. And you do it in many lines in the budget, and it's just something that hopefully the council will get a handle on, instead of having our taxes raised every year. Because when you raise our taxes $200 this year, it's 200 on top of 200 on top of 200, and it adds up over a period of years, where you could have some years a less of an increase in taxes. We all know it. You see it just by the money you just have just in the pension, and there's other areas, but I know the time is about up, and we'll save that for another night. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we hear this all the time. How believable, how credible is it when the salaries go up more than they should, the benefits come with a higher and higher cost every year, and yet government somehow can promise there's no increase in costs, there's no need for more revenue, at a time when even the state is reducing our revenues or not increasing them steadily. I find that not transparent or credible. All of the costs go up, everyone knows it, so how is it that government can promise that government by magic can do everything without raising more revenue? We don't get any new revenue from the state. We don't get new revenue from any source, unfortunately, other than taxpayers. But if it's a reasonable amount reflecting what we see as increase in costs all of the time, we're being honest. We don't print money, and I don't advocate that we do.
We are out of time for public question and answer. I am going to move ahead on the agenda to item 9 and ask the council to go into executive session. The council will retire to the council office so that the chambers do not need to be cleared.
Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statute Sections 1-225F, 1-206B, 1-206E, 1-210B4, and 10 to discuss pending litigation claim involving CMEC arbitration and legal advice related hereto.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor of going into executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare the council in executive session. The executive session will be conducted in the council office. Thank you. I call the meeting back to order. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
I move we come out of executive session.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare the council back in public session. On to item 6, which is a report from the Jubilee 350th Committee. Time for the PowerPoint. Good evening. Remind us who you are for the record, please.
Good evening. Christine Mansfield, co-chair of the Jubilee Committee.
Bob Devaney, co-chair, Jubilee 350 Committee. Mayor Dickinson, Attorney Farrell, councilors, we've been told in our lives that we live in amazing times. Well, our town in 1,124 days will experience the 350th birthday of Wallingford, Connecticut. For the last couple years, Christine Mansfield and myself and a team of volunteers have been putting together a program for a tremendous week of celebration. We're going to take you through this week, day by day. We will not keep you here all night, but it will be a quick overview to see what's happening.
We're just going to give a minute for the PowerPoint screen to come alive.
We're having a technological moment, is that what you're telling me?
Waiting for the green room. We want to recognize in our audience while we're waiting that we have a number of our directors and our steering committee here to support the cause. We've been blessed with hundreds of volunteers coming forward already, and a public appeal to those viewing on TV tonight and across the town that every resident is invited to be a part of this, young, old, in between, from every part of town. We're looking for our business corporations, our organizations, our residents to join and be a part of history. So again, our website, while we're waiting, is www.wallingford350.org. That's a virtual site open 24/7 to access information. We have an online meeting portal, so if you need to look at our minutes, our agendas, our presentations, those are updated up to the minute with information as we're planning through, right up through the 2020.
Speaking of this 7-day event, until the green light comes up here, there's definitely be 7 days of, where did it go? 7 days of different committees, programs, lectures, parades, ball, fireworks, all kinds of different things that are going to be happening in town that week. And
so each year, 1 to 2 events will be held leading up to the Jubilee. The actual Jubilee dates are June 20th through the 27th in the year 2020. So we'd like each resident and councilor to mark their calendars and plan on vacation after the 27th of 2020 for the actual Jubilee 350th anniversary.
That should be adequate notice.
actually, we did kick this off last April with battalion review of the Connecticut Guard here in Wallingford. Wallingford definitely has a tremendous history of patriotic and military parades, dating back from our 300th centenary, the 325th Jubilee, and moving on to different Loyalty Day parades and so forth. So we're not immune to celebrations, as you probably well know.
So as we're looking through our presentation here, welcome to the 350. This is for our viewing pleasure on TV. The organization is underway. Now the committee set up, just to remind folks that we are part of the town. We're a committee. There is no incorporated status. The 350 mailbox is at the town hall. You can access us also through our hubcap headquarters right on Center Street. We mentioned our committee. All monies and accounting flow through our controller. All donations submitted to town council for donations will be approved through you to expend. All meeting notices, agendas, and minutes are posted, and program planning and town clerk will have access to our information.
As you can see, we have a steering committee, an audit committee, our directors. It moves down to finance, marketing, safety, security, decoration, hospitality, technology, and events. This couples with fundraising, publicity, police, finances, marketing, and the fire department, legal specialties, our EMS department, our gift shop, which is going to be located downtown, and obviously security. And our committees are forming to support the week-long Jubilee in June 2020.
So looking at a project this large encompassing all of our towns requires a little bit of marketing and event support. That process has already started. You'll look at a long list already of partners that have come to the table already helping us to market. WPAA has, again, promos for our upcoming car show, more to come on that. And just raising awareness about the 2020. Celebrate Wallingford, visit our booth. We'll have an exciting launch of a library storytelling project to talk about, co-branded merchandise sales for the 350. Marketing committee is formed. If people are interested, please see our website or contact us to donate your time and your energies. Collateral, social media, you'll see us on Facebook, like our page, our posts, and Twitter. So multi-channel operation here to market and continue soliciting interest from our community as well.
As you can see, this is going to be our brochure that's going to be all around town. It's going to list our events, everything about our town, the things that we've kicked off last year, and more operations that are going to come forward after that. Who's invited? Everyone. We want everybody in this town to get a part of the 2020, the 350th birthday of Wallingford.
And of course, branding who we are was rather the biggest challenge approaching the 350 committee. So the committee came up with this logo, and again, looking at the pieces, you'll see iconic features that have been held over from our past Jubilees. And again, I'll let Bob explain the tri-horn as well.
If we look at the picture that's up in front, you're going to see where it says Wallingford underneath. We've kept the original Jubilee symbol that pretty much was put together by Johanna Fishbein and the committee back in 1970. And looking at the 350 in the middle, to the right is our Connecticut symbol, and to the left is the tricorner that represents the original tricorner hat that's worn by the colonial soldiers of the time.
So you'll see this logo displayed, co-branded merchandise. Many of our merchants already have stepped up to help start seeding this brand, and you'll see that across. Of course, on the website, as we mentioned, Wallingford350.org contains information to the left-hand side. You'll have an events calendar. You'll see that the meeting portal information is here. All the information is available for download 24/7 with a calendar of events to, again, engage us to be able to help everybody stay in touch with what we're doing, because the momentum is building.
Momentum definitely is building. Like we said, we launched last year in April with the Battalion Review of the Connecticut Guard, and it's starting this year on June 24th is going to be a car show. A car show that's going to be on Center Street in Wallingford between Colony Street and Whittlesey Avenue. And the car show is going to have older cars, and also, thanks to the help of Chris Brosnan, Liz Landau, Roz Gallagher, the team has got together, and we've got car dealers that are going to be putting their cars out for view, 5 cars per car dealer for everyone in town to see.
And the classic cars will be coming from Connecticut Hot Rod Association.
Connecticut Street Rod Association.
And again, looking at the advertising and looking at a multi-channel promotion, Record Journal, Wallingford Magazine, and again, Center Street will be closed from North Whittlesey to Colony. The state has approved, working with our great Wallingford Police Department, mapping out traffic routes. Some of the one-way streets will be made two-way just for the day of the event. WCI has done a wonderful job with Liz Landau notifying merchants and working through this. This will be certainly a special time for Center Street, where we'll be able to utilize the great proximity to restaurants and specials along the way, and at the same time have a really special car show, a unique event.
Well, with that, there's going to be music by Johnny Roz and his team, and John's part of our 350 committee also.
So again, as we continue to look through and see the ideation, you'll see an event each year, and as Bob mentioned, with the launch of the 2016, a very special stamp cancellation notice.
In 2016, the U.S. Post Office put out a special stamp cancellation commemorating the kickoff of our trek to the 2020, which was done right up here in the center of town. We plan on having the United States Postal Service put out a special stamp cancellation for 2020. That is in the process.
And as we look at the website launch and the committee formations, in 2017 this year, you'll see the car show come through, more merchandise sales will be tested. Many of what you'll see in the next year or two will be piloting in a smaller fashion. Some of the larger events we'll be staging as we near 2020. We want to gain some learnings and at the same time seed some electricity and excitement from all of us to celebrate this great town. And event and volunteer event planning continues.
In 2016 at Celebrate Wallingford, we launched what was our magnet for the 2020, and for the merchandise sales this time for the car show, we're going to have a commemorative hat and also a t-shirt to be able to be purchased, just to start building a little monies to help our coffers.
And that will start to see the launch of in 2018 for the 350th store that will be housed at the Hubcap. And continued event planning in 2018, 2019. Continue to watch the website and, of course, our local partners to see what all the other events that are coming up. But really, the momentum builds for the June 20th.
Well, this is it. June 20th, 2020. Saturday, we're going to have a huge parade in our town. Right now, we're working with the police department and fire department on exactly what the route will be. And once that's put together, if you guys remember, in 1970, we had a 6-hour parade. In 300, the 25th, we had about a 3.5-hour parade. Well, we're looking at about a 3-hour parade this time.
And on Sunday, we'll have Religious Day, and we'll see a number of ecumenical and opportunities to unite all of our religious and spiritual faiths and places of worship and events that day.
Well, Monday, History and Diversity Day. And those of us who know Wallingford, it used to be Meriden, Cheshire, and Prospect was all part of Wallingford's property at one time. We're getting involved with those towns to be involved with our special history, and the Diversity Day is going to be involved with a lot of our ethnic groups in town that are coming forward with great ideas, whether it be food or lectures and so forth.
And again, continuing celebrating all the great pieces of our town. Tuesday will be Women's Day. Wallingford Community Women will be heading that up. Very special program to celebrate our diversity.
Wednesday, the Chamber and Industry and Agricultural Day. Let's look back at the history of agriculture in Wallingford. It has a great amount of history, and there were so many farms in town in those days, not too many left as we know, but the Chamber and the industry are getting together to put together a program on Wednesday.
And again, the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce will be heading up that day. Thursday, Senior Center has been already brainstorming on Senior Day. Bargain Day with Liz Landau, of course, and WCI, a very special opportunity for merchant sales and specials that day.
On Friday will be the culmination of all the youth sports that are being planned for the entire week. There's going to be a block dance Friday night in the center of town, and you'll be able to come out on the middle of Center Street on the sidewalks and watch the fireworks be shot off from Masonic Home.
And of course, Saturday will be the ball. Planning is already underway for this formal black tie affair. Stay tuned for more details. Very exciting developments yet to come on that. And again, you'll see here that we have a number of individuals already stepping up to chair. Please, there's more room at the table. We're looking for everybody to give insights, to continue building out these volunteers and continue leading the charge here. And we can't say enough about the town committees and the departments that have stepped up: Park and Rec Commissions, Park and Rec Department, Senior Center, the Health Department, Public Celebrations. Looking at all of our pieces of our town uniting under this umbrella has been very, very important.
We both stress the fact that there's a few names up on this board. There's quite a few people behind us in the room that are part of our team. The bottom line is we want everybody to be involved. This is our town. Let's make it a special event.
We want to especially recognize Masonic Era. And again, looking at Masonic's opportunity to host our fireworks, this is a very special opportunity. Again, as Bob mentioned, we want to thank them publicly for coming forward. We'll be working with the police department, risk, and the state, of course, to ensure all the logistics are here. And again, we mentioned some of the partners already coming through with ideas. This is just a sneak peek at some of the ideas already approved. Looking at Women's Day, the Wallingford Community Women are already thinking about a Victorian tea, a women's art show, wine tasting. Jerry Farrell is organizing already ecumenical centers of worship and looking at Religious Day. And of course, the Quinnipiac Chamber will be hosting their Jubilee Week annual meeting and developing special programming to celebrate the history and, of course, today's business.
Well, Wallingford Parks and Rec will be chairing town-wide organizations supporting all the events behind the youth organizations. Wallingford Center, Inc. is organizing merchant sales. The Senior Center is planning events already, and they're actually planning a very special event for the night of the fireworks. Our old friend Mary Ellen Kingsland is going to lead the band and get us on to a most beautiful play for 3 nights of drama. Outreach to arts, quilting, crafting, and all cultural facets.
We'd like, of course, the council and Mayor Dickinson to mark those calendars for your entertainment value to be exhibited and your talents that evening on stage. So again, please mark your calendars.
Now we've got people that are joining the team, like I said, almost every single day, and Joe Gouveia up on top of Warren Hill is getting ready to put together 2 special wines at Gouveia Vineyards, bottling a special 350th vintage red and white. The parade floats from every ethnic organization in town. The route will be similar to the 325th.
More details to come, but the Jubilee Ball is planning already. If you have ideations, there is a forum on our website. Please feel free to send in your suggestions for any one of our events or the 350 committee. And we have a Descendants Committee formed. Again, they're channeling outreach to our founders' families, planning events to commemorate, of course, our founders, and also to pull together a very special celebration and honoring our history as we go forward. We'd be remiss without recognizing Bob Beaumont's leadership in a number of our historical groups, the Preservation Trust, the Historical Society, the Library, the Board of Ed, to create a town-wide project to identify the top 350 events in the town that will become the backbone to publish a historical view of the 350 top moments in history.
Partner with the Board of Education, the state mandates to create a curriculum, and part of the Moments Project of 350 Moments of Wallingford between the Board of Education, the Wallingford Historical Society, Wallingford Historic Preservation Trust, the library, and many others. This is going to be something that will be locked in for a lifetime. Taryn Granucci is chairing the committee to publish a book and a video, and the share again of the public moments via the Wallingford Library Storytelling Project that Christine and I were actually part of, and we really enjoy learning how to tell stories.
There is an art to it and a science, and of course with the expertise we have here in town, you'll expect to see lectures, exhibits, and a number of cultural events tied to the 350 pieces, and of course the dramatization that Mary Ellen Eccles will be planning. It's an exciting time, but this will form a foundation that we'll be able to build from, not only the historical 350 moments from our professionals, but we're also will be looking for the public to be sharing. So the library is using their a Napier grant to create a storytelling exhibit, and you'll see more to come on this. We'll pilot in our booth at the Celebrate Wallingford Festival. We'll be piloting this Moments project so that you too can share your stories with us as part of our celebration. So now for the financial update. We just wanted to give you a quick update as to where we are on finances. So in March 2016, you approved our committee's formation and again allocated $7,500 in this year's budget. And again, incremental sales, we can't emphasize this enough, incremental revenue opportunity that will be driven from our merchandise sales as we go forward with sponsorships, a significant future income opportunity as we go forward through this. So again, year to date, Nancy Miller is here in the crowd, and she is our accountant and our finance chairperson. We have a finance committee behind us, but of course, we're a town committee, so Jim Bowes, our controller, has access to all of our information, and all incomes go to him, all expenses flow through our town. And so at this year to date, we have total income received of $4,749 through our magnets, and of course, our sponsorships coming in from the car show. And again, huge kudos extend to Chris Brosnan and that committee for soliciting over $7,000 in sponsorships that will completely underwrite the car show test and the pilot. And of course, the car show merchandise coming through will be an expense that we'll look at as well. So at this point, from an expenses standpoint, you'll see our total revenue with the town budget $7,500, with the sponsor donations of $6,000, and magnet sales of $749. We're at a total of $14,249. The expenses projected to be a totaling $13,048 right now year to date. I will tell you that actually we spent $2,375 on merchandising, but forecasted you'll see a number of those expenses will flow through to support the car show, logistics, the merchandising, collateral, signage, really seed money for building our brand out as the Wallingford 350. And again, Jim Bowes will be controlling all of that. We forecast right now, tentative is about a $1,200 net, but again, we're in the process of soliciting in bids and such for our expenses. More to come on that, but we wanted to give you a heads up.
How to get involved? Email, call, or stop by the headquarters at Hubcap. Our organizations are invited to consider sponsoring or hosting a 350 event in 2020. How to register at our website, www.wallingford350.org, or at the Hubcap. Complete a volunteer form, which is available at the Hubcap. Review the committee form. Send the committee an email with your idea and contact information.
And this presentation is also uploaded to the website. You'll see by the underlines that each of those is a clickable link if you'd like to download that form, or of course you can get a paper copy by emailing us. We can send it to you, or you can access that at the Hubcap. So next steps.
Next steps, the Jubilee Car Show, June 24th. Come out and see and enjoy the center of Wallingford. Come downtown and enjoy the restaurants downtown. Our Descendants Committee Planning, Moments Committee Compilation, Celebrate Wallingford booth, which is going to be in October. October with the Wallingford Library Storytelling Moments Project, the 350 commemorative merchandise sales.
And that concludes our update. We wanted to give you a quick peek. We're at about a year mark of the planning process, but so many volunteers and so many partners have already formed to celebrate and continue marching to 2020. We wanted to touch base with the town council, answer any questions, and seek some guidance if you had any. Questions?
Councilor Zandri.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, folks, for the update. I got it maybe about a week or so ago. I got an email and I went through it. I just have a couple of quick questions with respect to the donations in the form. Now, are you a registered nonprofit so that if someone wants to make a donation, they can write it off, or are you not?
We're not. We're a town committee.
All right, so because you're a town committee, would that fall under making a donation to the town, which is also a deductible expense?
Correct.
Correct, right? That, because I had a couple people ask me, and I said, I don't think they're their own 501c3, but because they fall under the town, it's still a similar donation if that's, one of the things that someone was concerned about, having the ability to itemize it. Another question that came up, which I found on the website, were sponsorship packages. You have an outline here. Now, the tone of it is a business setup, but is this also set up for like families, like if, the Smith family or the Jones family wanted to make a donation, would it fall under the same type of outline for something like that?
Absolutely. The marketing committee will be meeting next week. There'll be two facets, of course, for residential, individual, and family donations and opportunities to be a part of this. And of course, there'll be a business and corporate nonprofit organization solicitation. So you'll see two different components coming through.
And I also had another couple of people come up to me. If students that are looking for time to donate as part of their graduation, if they were to donate time to your committee, does that count towards that or no?
It's a town organization, so I'd expect the same protocols to be followed as if they donated to Youth and Social Services or to some other components.
Okay.
Absolutely. We can sign off on that, so if a student is interested. You'll see more to come by the end of the summer. You'll see a formalization of the volunteer sign-up. As we prepare towards 2020, we'll have those forms available to them. But they can contact us, absolutely, to donate.
All right, because those are the questions that I've gotten, once in a while on mainly Facebook, because as I mentioned to you before, as you guys post things to the 350 site, I'm moving them over to the news and information site. So I do get questions and I usually defer them to you, so I don't know if they're coming to you or not. But I try to answer the ones that I can. So, and I think it's great that all this information is available. I've been able to look most of it up and answer, and these were the ones that kind of got, you've got click here, more information coming soon. So I figured I'd take the opportunity now to ask, so.
Councilor Zandri, we'll take an extra step and set up a frequently asked questions. So as each of you ask questions, we'll compile those, aggregate them, and that way there'll be another link on the website. We'd be remiss if we didn't thank Councilor Zandri. When we first started setting the technology aspect up, we used his insights and guidance to formulate using Google Drive, using Gmail, and we bounced around a number of ideas technologically to make sure that we had our needs met. So I wanted to publicly thank you for all of that help.
And I appreciate that, to have the opportunity, and I'm hoping that as we progress, if there's more of a need, please let me know. I mean, I'm all over the place, but if you let me know that you need some help, I can jump right back in.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly. Councilor Shortell?
Hi, Christine. Hi, Bob. Great job. Just a quick question. I asked you guys an email just so the public can know. If anybody in town has a suggestion for one of the 350 moments, do they use the same forms to get that to you? Or how does that process work as far as who's compiling those moments? Who gets input into those moments? Is there a vetting process? I'm not sure how that works.
There is a form online. There's a link right, I've got the position here on the computer screen, you can see that. But on our website, we'll put a link on that homepage as well. We'll bring that back up to the front, where the public can submit an idea, their own public story if they'd like. At the same time, there's a historical compilation going on. That Moments group is compiling in a separate fashion. It's a Google Drive list. We can share the copy with them. It's published online already, but we can send a link directly to the folks if they'd like access to it as well. Sure.
Any other questions from the council? Questions from the public? There being none, well, thank you both very much for your report. Very nicely done. And thank you to your committee for all of your hard work so far. And you've given us a lot to look forward to. Thank you very much for that. The next item on the agenda, item 7, is to hold a public hearing regarding the proposed changes to the town charter as recommended by the Charter Revision Commission. To be clear, the council will not be taking action tonight. For those of you who have comments on the proposed charter as revised, our purpose for holding the public hearing is to listen to your comments, concerns, and questions. The council will be meeting on June 1st to discuss whether or not the council will have recommendations to make back to the Charter Revision Commission, and then the council will meet with the Charter Revision Commission on June 6th. With that, the public hearing is open. Are there comments from the public on the charter as proposed? Mr. Vitale?
Good evening. Jim Vitale, North Elm Street, also Chairman of Inland Wetlands Commission. I haven't really been able to get a copy of the new charter revision or what the suggestions are. I'm not sure who has access to that, if it's the town clerk's office or legal department.
There should be copies at the table next to the secretary, and of course, Mr. Gross.
Okay, I do have this copy, but my problem is that I read in the paper that there was some changes making to the staff, the job description of the staff of inland wetlands. And from what I read in the paper, it was shifting the answering from the commission, she answers to the commission now, the position answers to the commission, and it was being moved back to the mayor position.
So I'm just going to read to you what's been presented.
Okay.
It would be Chapter 13, the Planning Department, Section B. The mayor shall appoint and may remove, subject to the provisions of Chapter 20 of this charter, an environmental planner who shall serve as staff to the Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. It's the 17th page.
Okay. Page 17?
Yes.
I think this is a mistake. I think it should stay with the commission. It should have, I'm disappointed that the Charter Revision Committee didn't come and ask the Wetlands Commission. When it was formed, the commission, previous to the last environmental planner to be hired, is when the position was changed from the mayor, or was it the original? I'm trying to think. Was the original in '88? It was always in the hands of the Wetlands Commission. It's always been in the hands of the Wetlands Commission. And it's been a good place for it, and it keeps track of the person and the position, and I think it's a mistake to change it to anything else. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think as I recall, the charter revision of 10 years ago was trying to move the town planner into that same position that they answered to the commission, not to the mayor or the higher.
Thank you.
So there'll be more comments regarding another public hearing, and I think the charter revision, are they having another public hearing, or is it all staying here at the council?
No, I think they've already had a public hearing.
So they're all set.
3 in total. So this will be the last public hearing on the proposed charter, and it's in the hands of the council to then discuss any changes, additions, or subtractions that the council would propose to the commission. So this is your opportunity to be heard.
Well, I can't stress it enough that it's important for it to stay right where it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Casagrande?
Lucille Casagrande, Turnberry Road. With regard to what Mr. Vitale just said, I'm wondering if now is the time to ask why, or would it be at a later date? That it was determined by the commission, Charter Revision Commission, that the staff member, director of the inland wetlands not answer to the commission as opposed to the mayor. Is now the time to ask why that was brought up?
Please don't be offended, but we're here to hear your comments.
Oh.
We're not answering questions. The council's not in a position to answer questions.
So the council will not answer questions at any point concerning things like this?
Certainly not tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Mr. Gross?
Just to follow up to Ms. Grande's question, so if you said if not tonight, then when you're going to be discussing whether it's this item or another item, will the public be able to speak at that meeting?
I will consult with the law department on that, and because I haven't yet determined.
All right. Okay, so if Mr. Vitale wants to, you're discussing whether the inland wetlands person is going to report to the mayor or to their, and you're coming up with questions on it and discussing it. If you don't let the public speak, then how would somebody of Mr. Vitale, who's been chairman for years, be able to interject or at least enhance your positions one way or the other without the public being able to speak? That's all. Thank you.
I suspect that if we wanted to talk with Mr. Vitale, he would talk to us.
I'm talking tonight, if you because isn't on that particular night, if you decide that you didn't like what the Charter Revision Commission did, or said, no, we want to do it this way, you take a vote, you can change something they did, or add, or take away from what they presented to you?
At our meeting with them on June 6th, we would present to them our recommendations to either reconsider or change something that they have.
And if
done.
you recommend something, does it mean it happens?
No, it doesn't. It goes back to the commission for their consideration.
So if you decide to change the colors of the chairs in the auditorium here to purple.
In the charter, sure.
And there's, I'm just giving, so
I
it's
get it.
no offense to anybody, and there's 9 votes that yes, and it goes back to the commission, and they say no, you don't have the right to put that into the charter?
We
For a
do-
vote?
My understanding after meetings with the law department is that no, the council can't add things to the commission's recommendations that the commission didn't recommend.
If they recommended that the chairs should be purple and you say they shouldn't be purple and you vote that they shouldn't be and you should take that out of the commission, is that something you're allowed to do?
My understanding is that if they have proposed a change, we can reject it.
Okay, thank you. Just for edification for people, I don't think everybody understands that. Thank you.
Ms. McKean? I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Ms. and McKean are pretty easy to pronounce. Eileen McKean, Burkheights Drive. I'm also on the Inland Wetlands Watercourses Commission. I agree with Chairman Vitale that we've been the appointee of the environmental planner in the past, and I don't see the point in changing that. So it's one of those recommendations that you have the ability to take out, and that's what I recommend you do. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Going once? Twice? 3 times. With no other calls for comment from the public, I will close the public hearing on the revised charter as presented to the council. With that, I believe we move along to number 11, am I correct?
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Sections 1-225F and Section 1-206B regarding strategy and negotiations with respect to the following pending litigations: Inframetals versus Town of Wallingford, and Ichabod Properties and Town of Wallingford.
Second
How about item 12?
question?
That's Inframetals.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there a point of order?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
yes, please. Yeah.
Counselor
Yes,
Testa?
please. I'm just, did we specify that there would be no item 10? Just for clarification
item-
for the public, because we skipped ahead.
All right. As a point of order, on the agenda, item 10 has been withdrawn.
Okay, thank you. I think that probably helpful for the public. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. There is a motion on the table to go into executive session that has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare the council in executive session. Please kindly clear the council chambers. Thank you. Call the meeting back to order. Is there a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor of come out of executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, I declare the council back in public session. Are there any motions following? Is there a motion on item 12?
Mr. Chairman, I move we authorize the settlement in the pending tax appeal matters of Inframetals versus Town of Wallingford as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Was that a second?
Second.
Yeah, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. On to item 13.
I move we authorize the settlements in the pending tax appeal matters of Ichabod Properties and Town of Wallingford, first Town of Wallingford, as discussed in executive session.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion from the council? There being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. As there is no further business on the agenda, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Second.
Moved by Councilor Morone, seconded by Councilor Zandri. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hearing none. Councilor Testa will continue his own meeting by himself. Otherwise, the motion is in order, and I declare the meeting adjourned.